When the daughter-in-law announced at dinner that she was pregnant, a deathly silence fell over the room. Even the television, which had been humming in the background, seemed to fall silent. The mother-in-law froze with a spoon in her hand. The father of the family raised his eyes from the newspaper. The husband choked on a piece of fish. "What?" the mother-in-law asked, although she had heard everything perfectly. "I'm pregnant," the daughter-in-law repeated with a smile, running her hand over her flat stomach. She could barely hold back laughter as she looked at the expressions on their faces. "Oh my God!" the mother-in-law breathed, raising her hands to her face. "Thank you, thank you." "Let's not rush. Nothing's happened yet." The father put down his newspaper, scrutinizing her with disbelief. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely." She raised her eyebrows and slightly lifted her chin. From that evening, her entire life turned upside down. 3 days later, the woman, who was used to going for morning runs in the city park, was already being lectured. She had barely stepped outside when a loud call stopped her. "Where are you going?" The mother-in-law ran out behind her, only managing to throw on a light robe. "For a jog," she replied calmly, checking if her sneakers fit well. "A jog?" the mother-in-law nearly choked. "You're pregnant. Do you realize that's dangerous?" "Please, stop," the woman sighed wearily. "It's actually healthy." "Healthy? For who? Your fitness routine? You don't understand. You need to protect yourself now. I won't allow it." "I understand you want to help." She turned toward her. "But I've been doing sports my whole life. I'm a fitness trainer, if you didn't know. Believe me, I know what kind of load is safe for a pregnant body. I'm not going to become a fragile vase just because you think I should." The older woman looked at her as if she were a child insisting on sticking fingers into an outlet. "You'll see," she said firmly, pressing her lips together. "In a week you'll realize how silly this is. Until then, no jogging." But the woman wasn't going to give in and simply ran away. At the dinner table, another argument broke out. "Why didn't you warn me?" Her husband frowned, poking at his plate with a fork. "We could have discussed it." "Discuss what?" "I know my body better than anyone." "You may know your body," the mother-in-law chimed in, "but you don't know how it will affect the baby." "Enough," the father raised his hand. "You're all arguing as if it makes any difference." The woman just shook her head silently. One thing was clear. The next 9 months were going to be a challenge, and it had already started. With family care, the house greeted her with silence. Only the clock in the hallway ticked, marking time until the next conflict. Exhausted after a gym session, she only wanted a hot shower and a moment of peace. Taking off her jacket, she hung it on the hook and automatically reached for the shelf where she always kept her car keys. The shelf was empty. She frowned. Her habit of keeping things in place was nearly automatic. She looked around the hallway, then checked her jacket pockets. Nothing. "Damn," she muttered, trying to remember where she could have put them. She searched her bag, the drawer, even peeked in the closet, though she knew it was pointless. No keys. Her heart began to race. Had she lost them? Just then, the door creaked open, and the mother-in-law entered. "You're home already?" She smiled as if nothing had happened. The woman turned to her sharply. "Did you happen to see my car keys?" The mother-in-law, still in her coat, nodded and walked past toward the kitchen. "Of course I saw them," she replied calmly. "And where are they?" The woman followed her, trying to keep her voice steady. She turned on the kettle, took a mug from the cabinet, and only then looked at her. "With Lenotchka." "With who?" The woman's voice cracked. "With Lenotchka," she repeated as if it were the most natural thing in the world. That's what she always called her daughter. "She borrowed your car for a few days." "Borrowed?" The woman felt anger rising in her chest. And who allowed her? We agreed with Sasha, the mother-in-law said, as she finally took off her coat and hung it over a chair. With Sasha? She pinched the bridge of her nose. And no one thought to ask me? Oh, don't be upset, the mother-in-law shrugged. You shouldn't be driving anyway. It's dangerous. Lenochka needs it more. She's got an important business trip. A business trip? She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Are you serious? What if I need to go to the clinic, for example? I'll take you. The mother-in-law smiled as if that solved everything. You need rest now, not stress behind the wheel. The woman stared at her, feeling rage spill over. She took a deep breath. That car is mine, and no one has the right to decide who gets to use it but me. Don't yell, the mother-in-law frowned. It's bad for the baby. It's worse for the baby if his mother goes insane from these surprises. Give me the keys back. I don't have them, she shrugged. Lenochka does. Then she'd better return them today. I'll tell her, but she's busy. I doubt she can come over. You're making a mountain out of a molehill, she added gently. This happens a lot with pregnant women. The woman sighed, spun around, and slammed her bedroom door. She felt like her once free and active life was becoming a cage. And the worst part was, the keys to that cage were in other people's hands. The click of her heels echoed down the hallway. Her breathing was heavy, her eyes darting, and her hands nervously fumbled with her phone. The mother-in-law sat in the kitchen stirring tea as if nothing was happening. The woman burst into the kitchen. Her voice trembled with fury. What now? The older woman looked up, tensing as she noticed how pale the woman's knuckles were as she gripped her phone. My car keys. Now! We've already talked about this. In what condition? The woman stepped closer. Her eyes were blazing. Enraged. You're right. And do you know why? Because you and your Lenochka think you can control my life. Don't yell. She leaned back in the chair. You're scaring me. Good, she smirked. Do you want me to really scare you? I'll report the car as stolen right now. The mother-in-law set the cup on the table, her face turning pale. You heard me perfectly, the woman said, taking another step forward, practically looming over her. I don't care that she's your daughter and he's my husband. The car is mine, and I won't allow anyone to use it behind my back. Don't be ridiculous. The mother-in-law tried to compose herself, but her voice trembled slightly. This is a family matter. Why involve the police? Family matter. She laughed bitterly, with not a trace of humor. A family matter means making decisions together, not stealing keys and giving them to third parties. The older woman froze as if afraid to move. Well, nothing to say? The woman stared directly at her. I'm going to the police. Wait! The mother-in-law jumped up as if her words had jolted her like electricity. Don't do anything foolish. She didn't mean any harm. No harm? She crossed her arms. Do you even realize this is against the law? But we're family. The older woman raised her hands in desperation. Family? The woman stared her down. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't make decisions behind your back. Either I get the keys back today, or I'm reporting the theft. The older woman opened her mouth to say something, but the words never came. She stood frozen as the woman turned and stormed out of the kitchen, slamming the door behind her. She watched her go, trying to calm the storm of emotions. One thing was clear, the woman wasn't bluffing. If the police got involved, everyone would have to explain themselves. Meanwhile, the woman paced the room like a caged animal, struggling to manage the wave of rage crashing over her. She had thought nothing could shake her after the events of the day, but the older woman and her family decisions had pushed her to the edge. What's going on? What's going on? She nearly exploded. You tell me. You decided it was okay to loan out my car without even asking? What are you talking about? The drowsiness in his voice was instantly replaced by concern. Your mother, your sister, they took my car. They decided to lend it out like I'm no one. He sighed heavily. I thought. You thought? She cut him off. Do you ever think about how this looks from my side? Or are you fine with your mom and sister treating me like a fool? Don't start, he muttered with a trace of irritation. Don't start? She laughed. Cold, bitter. I'm pregnant, but that doesn't mean I stop being a human being. No one thinks that, he mumbled. Really? Then why do I have to ask for permission to use my own car? She gripped the phone so tightly, her fingers turned white. You're overreacting. We're family. Family? She nearly hissed. Then why do I feel like an outsider? Why is everything decided for me? He was silent. Listen to me, she said coldly. Either this ends now or I'm filing for divorce. He hadn't expected that. You heard me. I'm not going to live with someone who lets his family run my life. Are you serious? More than ever. And before he could respond, she hung up. She took a deep breath, sat down on the bed, and buried her face in her hands. She was shaking from anger, from hurt, from exhaustion. Back in the kitchen, the older woman tapped her fingers nervously on the counter. Her phone lay nearby. She hesitated, but after a minute, reached for it and dialed her son's number. Hello? Her voice trembled with tension. Mom? What's wrong? He asked with concern. She's acting terribly, the older woman almost whimpered. Yelling, threatening, even talking about divorce. Yeah, she told me too, he replied. We need to do something. She yelled at me so hard, I nearly sank into the wall. You have to come talk to her. He sighed. All right, I'm on my way. The woman sat on the couch in the living room, wrapped in a blanket. Her face was stone cold, eyes fixed on the phone. As soon as she heard the front door open, her heart flinched, but she didn't show it. He called her name from the doorway. She didn't even turn her head, continuing to scroll through her phone. What is this circus? He asked as he entered the room. Circus? She slowly raised her eyes, which sparked with fury. You know what's a circus? When your family decides how I should live my life. Mom says you yelled at her. He stood in front of her, arms crossed. Yelled? She stood from the couch, the blanket.
Well, we just wanted to.
We? She narrowed her eyes. You realize we is the wrong pronoun here. There's me, your wife, who is also a person, not some free accessory that comes with your mom and sister. He tried to respond, but she cut him off. Do you even realize how humiliating that was? Why didn't anyone ask me? We thought it would be better for you, he said at last, trying to keep his voice calm. Better for me? Her voice cracked into a scream. Do you hear yourself? Better for me would be for all of you to stop interfering in my life. You're overreacting. She laughed bitterly and angrily. No, you're all just used to making decisions for me. Come on, it's just a car. It's not just a car. She stepped closer, her face flushed with anger. It's my right to choose. He raised his hands in a calming gesture. Okay, I get it. I'll tell Mom to. You'll tell your mom? She interrupted, clenching her fists. Why didn't you say something to her in the first place? Why did you let her do this at all? I didn't think it would upset you that much. He rubbed the back of his neck. That's the problem, she said coldly. You don't think. You don't see how I feel. This time, he said nothing, lowering his eyes. If this doesn't stop, she exhaled, I will leave. And don't think I'm bluffing. He looked at her, finally understanding that this was serious. After that unforgettable evening, the house grew quiet. The mother-in-law no longer dared to interfere in her life. The sister avoided the house altogether, as if afraid to even accidentally bump into her. He changed too. He tried to be more attentive, though his awkwardness initially irritated her even more. By her 8th month, she was leading outdoor fitness sessions for her clients. The women laughed and marveled at her energy. "You're amazing," one of them said. "When I was at your stage, I was just lying on the couch eating ice cream." "I can't sit still," she replied. "Movement is life." She felt stronger with each passing day. Looking back over the past few months, she knew one thing for certain. She had put everyone in their place. And now, no one would ever dare to decide for her how she should live. That evening, when he returned home from work as usual, she greeted him with a warm smile. "How are you?" he asked gently, wrapping his arm around her shoulders. "Great," she answered honestly. "Everything's under control." And it really was.